GeoByte.
Welcome to the GeoByte. In this video, I am going to explain the solutions for the previous ESET exam questions for the subject Design of Machine Elements. Dear friends, since each and every problem is equally important, my request is you please go through the last problem. While you are listening, if you find any difficulty, you please send your doubt to the GeoByte. Definitely, the GeoByte team will answer all your questions. After listening all these problems, you practice pen and paper. You practice with pen and paper. Practice is very important for getting the success, particularly in the numerical oriented subject like strength of material, design of machine elements, the thermodynamics, etc. Look at the very first problem. Look at the very first problem. When two springs are in series, okay, springs are connected in series having a stiffness K. The equivalent stiffness will be, that means here the springs are connected in series. The series arrangement may be like this. This is the fixture. One spring is connected like this and other spring is connected like this. Like this. The load may be attached. Load may be attached to the down spring like this. Now here it is given that let this is the spring 1, spring 2. Stiffness of the each spring is K. K. That means K1 equal to K, K2 also equal to K. Stiffness of the spring 1 is K1. Stiffness of the spring 2 is K2. Given equal stiffness. The equivalent stiffness for the series arrangement, the equivalent stiffness K equal to K1 K2 by K1 plus K2. K1 plus K2. Here K1 is how much? K. K2 is K divided by K plus K. It is equal to K square by 2K. 1K is cancelled. 1K is cancelled. Finally it is K by 2. K by 2. Look at the options. So equivalent stiffness Ke equal to K by 2. Look at the option B. Option B is absolutely correct. I hope you got my point. Remember, if the same problem is given for the parallel arrangement, for a parallel arrangement, for the parallel arrangement of the springs, the equivalent stiffness Ke equal to K1 plus K2 plus so on, like this. You remember this formula also? The problem may be asked in the parallel arrangement also. I hope you got my point. Let us take another problem. Look at the second problem. Lewis equation in gears is used to find. Dear friends, the Lewis equation is the tangential component of force P suffix T equal to module multiplied by 1 minute, module multiplied by phase width multiplied by sigma B multiplied by Lewis form factor Y. Here Y equal to Lewis form factor. Anyhow, from this you can find the bending stress sigma. Bending stress can be found. Here Pt be the tangential component of force for the gear tooth, m be the module of the gear, and b be the face width. Sigma b be the bending stress, y be the Lewis form factor. Anyhow, Lewis equation is used for finding the bending stress. Look at the option D is bending stress. Option D is absolutely correct. Let me write the terminology. M equal to module. M equal to module. Module equal to pitch circle diameter divided by number of teeth. B equal to face width of the tooth. Face width of the tooth. Sigma B equal to bending stress. Sigma B equal to bending stress. Shall we take the another problem? Yes, let us take the another problem. Look at the next problem. The hoop stress in the rim of flywheel is, hoop stress equal to rho v square. That is the standard formula. Hoop stress, let it be sigma h equal to rho v square, where rho equal to mass density of the rim material rim material. It is depending on the type of material. V equal to peripheral speed, peripheral velocity of the rim, velocity of rim. It can be also written as V equal to omega into radius, where omega equal to angular speed of the flywheel. Angular speed of flywheel sorry, or equal to radius of the flywheel rim. Radius of flywheel rim. Anyhow, the hoop stress equal to rho v square. Let us take another problem. Look at the next problem. A thin cylindrical shell of diameter d and thickness T is subjected to internal pressure P. The longitudinal stress in the shell, for a thin cylindrical shell or thin shell, three kinds of stress are developed. First one, circumferential. Stress. The circumferential stress is also called hoop stress, equal to PD by 2T. Second one, longitudinal stress. Longitudinal stress, sigma L equal to PD by 4T, whereas shear stress, the third kind of stress, shear stress, tau equal to PD by 8T, where P equal to internal fluid pressure, D equal to internal diameter. From this I can say that the circumferential stress is 2 times the longitudinal stress. Circumferential stress is 4 times the shear stress, and the longitudinal stress is 2 times the shear stress. These relations are very, very important. Now let us go for the options. Since it is asked for longitudinal stress equal to PD by 4T, therefore option B is absolutely correct. I hope you got my point. Let us take another problem. Look at the fifth problem. Woodruff key is generally a square key, rectangular key, semicircular key, trapezoidal key. Dear friends, the Woodruff key is looking like this. I will draw the diagram. You can decide the geometric shape. This is the geometric shape of Woodruff key. Roughly I have drawn. This is the Woodruff key. Woodruff key. How it is looking? It is looking like a semicircular. Therefore, Woodruff key is semicircular key. I hope you got my point. Let us take another problem. Look at the next problem. 50 kilowatts power is transmitted by the belt system when it is running at 50 meter per second. Then the difference in tension will be problem connected to belt drive. Power transmitted by belt P equal to T1 minus T2 into belt speed V. Here power is given. How much power is given? 50 kilowatts. Let it be in watts. 50,000 watts, because 1 kilowatt equal to 1000 watts. And the belt speed V is given 50 meters per second. Let us put them. Power P, how much? 50,000. Okay. It is equal to T1 minus T2 multiplied by belt speed V 50. Therefore, T1 minus T2 is equal to 50,000 divided by 50 is equal to 1000. Since it is the tension, it is in newtons. So anyhow, T1 minus T2 equal 1000 newtons. Look at the option A. Option A itself is absolutely correct. Dear friends, this kind of problem is frequently asking. You try to practice this problem, right, at least 2 to 3 times. Shall we take another problem? Yes. Look at the seventh problem. V-belts are suitable for transmission of power between the two shafts having shorter distance. Dear friends, you can practically find the V-belts in the lathe mechanism or lathe machine. Generally, V-belts are for transmitting the power in a shorter distance. You can also find the V-belts in the rice mills. Look at the option B. Option B is absolutely correct. Remember, the flat belt is for longer distance. Let me write it. Flat belt drive. Flat belt drive is generally preferable for longer distance. Whereas V belt is for short distance, smaller distance. Let us take another problem. These are all very, very important problems. Look at the eighth problem. If the number of gear teeth on a pinion 30 and its velocity ratio 5, the number of gear teeth on the gear will be. Dear friends, in the gear terminology, the bigger gear is called spur gear or simply gear, and the smaller gear attached to the bigger gear is called pinion. This I can say spur gear or simply gear, spur gear, and this is the pinion. The smaller gear is called pinion. Now let this is the driver. driver, and this is the driven, driver driven. Here speed ratio or velocity ratio is given 5 equal to, I can say, n2 by n1 is equal to t1 by t2, t1 by t2. Since the pinion is the smaller gear, definitely pinion maintains more speed than the driver. Anyhow, number of teeth on the pinion means here the T2 be the number of teeth on the pinion. T2 be the number of teeth on the pinion. Then velocity ratio 5 equal to T1. T1 be the number of teeth on the driver gear or spur gear T1. So T1 by what is the number of teeth on the pinion? 30. Therefore, the number of teeth on the gear, or larger gear, T1 equal to 5 multiplied by 30, it is equal to 150. Therefore, the number of teeth on the bigger gear is 150. Look at the option C. Option C is absolutely correct. Shall we take another problem? Yes. Look at the 9th problem. Due to slip of the belts, the velocity ratio of the belt drive. Definitely, once the slip is considered, velocity ratio decreases. It is like this. Velocity ratio VR equal to N2 by N1 is equal to D1 by D2. This is the formula without slip. By considering the slip, velocity ratio equal to N2 by N1 is equal to D1 by D2 into 1 minus S by 100. This is with slip. See, this slip maybe, let it be, assume slip equal to 5%. Then velocity ratio equal to what? Velocity ratio equal to N2 by N1 is equal to this is 5, 1 minus 0.05, 95 times the D1 by D2. Look at the velocity ratio without slip, it is D1 by D2. With slip, it is 0.95 D1 by D2. Therefore, velocity ratio with slip always less than velocity ratio without slip. So that is the answer. I hope you got my point. Anyhow, conclusion is, once the slip of the belt is considered, velocity ratio decreases. Look at the option C. Option C is absolutely correct. Let us take another problem. Look at the 10th problem. When both pinion and gear are made of same material, then from the design point of view, remember, when both driver and driven or gear and pinion are made with same material, pinion is the determining factor or smaller gear is the determining factor. Look at the option A. Option A itself is absolutely correct. Remember, this is true only when the gear and pinion are made of same material. Look at the 11th problem. Gear train used in screw cutting mechanism of the lathe. You might have practically done in your workshop. Reverted gear train is used for thread cutting or the screw cutting with the lathe machine. Therefore, anyhow, the reverted gear train is used for screw cutting. Option A is absolutely correct. Let us take another problem. Look at the 12th problem. In order to have the smooth operation, the minimum number of teeth on the smaller sprocket from the moderate speed should be, remember, for smooth operation of the chain drive mechanism, minimum number of tooth should be 17. You remember this point. This problem is very frequently asking. Anyhow, in order to have the smooth operation, the minimum number of teeth on the smaller sprocket for the moderate speed should be 17. This is the standard value. Let us take another problem. Look at the 13th problem. If the rotating mass of a rim type flywheel is distributed on another rim type flywheel whose mean radius half the mean radius of the former. It is like this. Case 1, case 2, case 2. If I assume the mean radius in the first case is r, mean radius in the second case, is half of the mean radius of the first case. It is r by 2. Then energy stored in the latter at the same speed. For same speed means both flywheels are running at the same speed, n1 equal to n2. If so, omega 1 equal to omega 2. Angular speed of the first wheel equal to angular speed of the second wheel. Now let us find the energy stored. Energy stored in the first flywheel. Energy stored in flywheel 1. Flywheel 1. Let that is u1 equal to, right, half into I into omega square. Here I equal to what? Mk square. Half into, here I equal to mk square. Here k equal to d by 2 or r for rim type flywheel. Therefore I equal to what? Indirectly mr square. So I equal to mr square into omega square. That is the energy stored in the first flywheel. Come to the second flywheel. energy stored in second flywheel. u2 equal to half into I into omega square. Omega remains constant. Half into, here I equal to what? mr square, mean radius square into omega square. But for the second case, what is the mean radius? r by 2. So this is the rm2. u2, energy stored in the second flywheel, half into m into r by 2 whole square into omega square. It is equal to 1 by 2 into m into r square into omega square into 1 by 4. So u2 equal to this half mr square omega square. This half mr square omega square equal to u1. So u1 into 1 by 4. Therefore energy stored in the second flywheel is 1/4 of the energy stored in the first flywheel. I hope you clearly got my point. This kind of problem is also very important. Look at the options. 4 times the first one? No. Same the first one? No. B is not correct. A is not correct. 1/4 of the first one. Absolutely correct. Option C is absolutely correct. I hope you got my point. Let us take another problem. Look at the 14th problem. The drives usually chosen to have constant velocity ratio is, dear friends, chain drives and gear drives. Let me write it. Chain drives and gear drives has no slip, has no slip. Since these do not have any slip, can maintain can maintain can maintain constant velocity ratio or speed ratio. But belt drive, that belt drive may be either flat belt or V belt, एक minute, flat belt or V belt or rope belt. These three belts are maintaining slip, right? Have slip. Since these are having the slip, cannot maintain the constant speed ratio, cannot maintain cannot maintain constant velocity ratio. So it is asked, look at the problem. The drives usually chosen to have the constant velocity ratio, flat belt no, V belt no, rope belt no, option C chain drives. So option D is absolutely correct. Let us take another problem. Look at the 15th problem. A gear train in which axes of some of the wheels are not fixed but rotate around the axis of other wheels with which they mesh is known as epicyclic gear train. Remember, my dear friends, this question is very very important, frequently asking in competitive exams. The epicyclic gear train is one in which the arrangement is such that one gear is rotating over the other gear. The problem asked once again, let me read it. A gear train in which axes of some of the wheels are not fixed, but rotate around the axis of other wheels with which they mesh is known as epicyclic gear train. Therefore, option C is absolutely correct. Let us take another problem. Look at the 16th problem. The efficiency of chain drive is, since the slip is absent in the chain drive, maximum efficiency can be maintained, that is around 98%. You remember this value? The chain drives can maintain the efficiency around 98%. Therefore, option D is absolutely correct. Let us take another problem. Look at the 17th problem. This problem also very very important. The angle of twist of shaft of diameter d is inversely proportional to, dear friends, the torsion equation is T by J equal to G theta by L equal to tau by R, where T equal to torque, J equal to polar moment of inertia, G equal to shear modulus, theta equal to angle of twist, L equal to length of the shaft. Here the problem is asked relation between the angle of twist and shaft diameter. Therefore, other parameters can be treated as constant. Take that rounded relation, T by J equal to G theta by L, or angle of twist theta equal to TL by JG. Since it is asked relation between the theta and diameter, you know J equal to pi by 32 into d power 4. So theta equal to TL by J pi by 32 into d power 4 into G can be written as 32 TL by pi into G into d power 4. You make this term as constant. This term as constant because it is asked relation between the theta and d. Therefore, angle of twist theta equal to a constant by d power 4, or angle of twist theta is inversely proportional to fourth power of diameter. Theta is inversely proportional to fourth power of diameter. Look at the options. Option A, d no, d square no, d cube no, inversely proportional to d power 4. Sure. Option D. Option D is absolutely correct. Option D is absolutely correct. Let us take the another problem. Look at the 18th problem. The maximum shear stress occurs. Remember, maximum shear stress occurs at 45 degrees with principal planes. Look at the option B, 45 degrees with principal planes. This problem you try to remember. You don't have proof. You don't need proof. Actually, there is a proof. That proof you don't need it. Remember this value like this. So anyhow, maximum shear stress is at an angle 45 degrees with the principal plane. Option B is correct. Let us take another problem. Look at the 19th problem. Resilience power of spring is 420 joules. The energy stored in the spring is called resilience. So resilience or energy stored in the spring. Energy stored in the spring. Energy stored in the spring, generally denoted by U, is given 420 joules. Okay. Under the load capacity, load carrying capacity, load carrying capacity, load carrying capacity, let it be W equal to 60 kilonewton. It is equal to 60,000 Newton. The maximum deflection of the spring. You are asked to find the maximum deflection. Deflection in the spring is how much? Deflection in the spring. Deflection in the spring delta is how much? Since the spring is coming under elastic member, all elastic members are storing the energy within the elastic limit is called strain energy, is also called resilience. Dear friends, the resilience or strain energy of course can be called as resilience, denoted by U equal to half into load into deflection. But what is the energy U? 420. Let us put them. Half into load is how much? 60,000. 60,000 should be very careful. Multiplied by deflection. Therefore, deflection equal to 2 into 420 divided by 60,000. You simplify this value for getting 0.014 meter. It is equal to 14 mm because options are given in mm. So the maximum deflection in the spring equal to 14 mm. Now look at the options. Option B is absolutely correct. This kind of problem also frequently asking. You try to practice this kind of problem more times, right? These are the most expected problems. I can say 5-star problems. 5-star problems means the most expected problem in the competitive exams. Let us take another problem. Look at the 20th problem. The angle of contact taken in calculation of open belt drive is, dear friends, for crossed belt drive, the angle of contact theta in small pulley is equal to angle of contact for large pulley. Whereas for open belt drive, belt drive, open belt drive, the angle of contact in the smaller pulley, is smaller than the angle of contact in the larger pulley. Since the slip is more when the angle of contact is less, therefore the slip will be occurring more in the smaller pulley. Based on that smaller pulley angle, we are going to design the belt or open belt drive. Anyhow, the angle of contact to be taken for the open belt drive design is smaller pulley angle. Therefore, option B is absolutely correct. I hope you got my point. Let us take another problem. Look at the next problem. When the thickness of the belt is considered, its velocity ratio. As you know, velocity ratio equal to n2 by n1 is equal to d1 by d2 without thickness and slip. Okay, so velocity ratio with thickness is n2 by n1 equal to d1 plus t divided by d2 plus t. With thickness and without slip. Anyhow, he does not speak about the slip. You need not to consider that slip factor. Anyhow, remember, if thickness is considered, here the T equal to thickness of the belt. T equal to thickness of belt. Anyhow, once the belt thickness is considered, you can practically find by using the calculator. Definitely velocity ratio decreases. Velocity ratio decreases if the thickness of the belt is considered. The thickness of the belt is considered, the velocity ratio decreases. So when the thickness of the belt is considered, its velocity ratio decreases. Therefore, option A is absolutely correct. Let us take another problem. Look at the next problem. A roller chain with a pitch of 9 mm is used with a driving sprocket that has 20 teeth and turning at 800 rpm. The speed of the chain is, it is like this. The pitch is given. Pitch is denoted by P equal to 9 mm. Let it be in meters, equal to 9 into 10 raised to minus 3 meters. Okay. Is used with driving sprocket that has number of teeth. Number of teeth may be denoted by T equal to 20. Okay. And turning speed n equal to 800 rpm. The speed of the chain V equal to speed of the chain V equal to Ptn by 60. This is the formula for the chain drive. P is 9 into 10 raised to minus 3, T20 multiplied by 800 divided by 60. You simplify this value to have around 2.4 meters per second. This is the answer. I hope you got my point. Look at the options. Option C is absolutely correct. Let us take another problem. Look at the next problem. What is the load carrying capacity of a bolt 7 mm core diameter and tensile strength is not to exceed 60 Newton per mm square. Problem is given like this. Core diameter may be denoted by DC is equal to 7 mm. Core diameter directly given. Tensile stress. Let it be sigma T equal to 60 Newton per mm square. You are asked to decide load carrying capacity. Load carrying capacity that is W equal to stress multiplied by tensile stress multiplied by core area. Tensile stress multiplied by core area pi by 4 into DC square. So it is equal to tensile stress is how much? Look at the tensile stress 60 into pi by 4 into core diameter is 7 whole square. You simplify this value for getting approximately 2310. I got with my calculator the answer is 2310 newtons. Since it is load, look at the units. Here stress is in Newton per mm square. Area is in mm square. These two are cancelled. Finally, the unit is Newton. Newton is the unit of load or force. Anyhow, 2310 newtons. Look at the options. Look at the last option 2310. It is not M, it is the Newton. Printing mistake. Newton. So answer D is absolutely correct. I hope you got my point. Let us take another problem. Look at the 24th problem. A solid circular shaft is subjected to a bending moment 9 into 10 power 2 Newton meter and a torque 12 into 10 power 2 Newton meter. Its equivalent torque given like this. Bending moment M is given 9 into 10 power 2 Newton meter. Similarly, torque T is given 12 into 10 power 2 also in Newton meter. You are asked to find the equivalent torque. Equivalent torque T equal to root over m square plus t square. Simple problem. M square is 9 into 10 power 2 whole square plus 12 into 10 power 2 whole square. You simplify this value. So it is 900 whole square plus 1200 whole square. You simplify this value for getting around 1500 Newton meter. Since it is torque 1500 Newton meter. So it can also be written as 15 into 10 power 2 Newton meter. That is the answer. 1500 Newton meter. Look at the options. Look at the option B. Option B is absolutely correct. Option B is absolutely correct. Let us take one more problem. Look at the 25th problem. Generally, the shaft diameter is calculated by using, dear friends, generally the shafts are made with ductile material. For the ductile material, generally we are using the maximum shear stress theory, whereas for brittle material, maximum normal stress theory is used. Let me write that point. For ductile material, we are using maximum shear stress theory. is also called Gus theory, a fast phase Gus theory. Whereas for brittle material, for brittle material, we are using maximum normal stress theory, maximum normal stress theory, or Rankine theory. Rankine theory. Generally, shafts are made with ductile material. For ductile material, we can use the maximum shear stress theory. Look at the option C, maximum shear stress theory. Option C is absolutely correct. Let us take another problem. Look at the 26th problem. In a compound train of wheels, the number of teeth on the driven wheels are 60, 40 and 24. The number of teeth on the follower wheels. So the first given might be number of teeth on the driver wheels. So number of teeth on the follower wheels is given 30, 20 and 12. What is the speed of the last follower when the first driver is running at 15 rpm? You know, for the compound gear train, the velocity ratio equal to speed of last follower, last gear divided by speed of the first gear, speed of first gear is equal to product of number of teeth on drivers divided by product of number of teeth on followers or drivens. Here you are asked to find the what is the speed of the last follower. Speed of the last follower, speed of last gear by speed of the first gear. How much speed of the first gear? 15 is equal to product of number of teeth on the drivers. 60 into 40 into 24. 60 into 40 into 24 divided by product of number of teeth on the followers. 30 into 20 into 12. 30 into 20 into 12. 32 times. 22 times. 12 2 times. 2 into 2 into 2, 8. Therefore, the speed of the last gear can also be called as speed of the last follower equal to 8 multiplied by 15. It is equal to 120. Since it is speed revolutions per minute. That is the answer. I hope you got my point. This kind of problem also equally important. Look at the option C. Option C is absolutely correct. 120 rpm. I hope you got my point. Let us take one more problem. Look at the 27th problem. A pressure vessel is said to be a thin cylindrical shell when the relation of the shell diameter to its wall thickness. As you know, my dear friends, if thickness of the wall is greater than 1 by 10 times the diameter of the vessel, that is called thick shell. Similarly, if the thickness of the vessel is less than 1 by 10 times the diameter of the internal diameter of the shell, that is called thin shell or thin cylindrical shell. From this I can say that for thin cylindrical shell, D is greater than 10 times the thickness. It is for thin shell. Now let us read the problem once again. A pressure vessel is said to be a thin cylindrical shell when the relation of the shell diameter to its wall thickness is diameter is greater than 10 times the thickness. So greater than 10 times the thickness, option C is absolutely correct. Let us take the last problem. Look at the last problem, very simple problem. The quality of governor can be judged by swing, lift, sensitivity, and range. Dear friends, the quality of governor is judged by sensitivity of the governor. This is the theory question. Very simple problem, but easy question. Anyhow, the quality of the governor can be judged by sensitivity of the governor. I hope you got my point. With this, my dear friends, I am concluding this video. After listening all these problems, you practice the important problems or you practice the problem what you are feeling difficult or important. While you are practicing, if you find any difficulty or any doubts, you please send your doubt to the GeoByte. Definitely, the GeoByte team will answer all your questions. You can send the doubts not only in the design of machine elements but also the strength of material, engineering mechanics, fluid mechanics, thermodynamics, refrigeration and air conditioning, power plant, heat engineering, means heat power engineering, etc. Because my basic qualification is also diploma and I am working as a professor in one of the engineering colleges. You can send any kind of doubts regarding the mechanical subjects. Definitely you will get the answer. Right? Thank you. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. God bless you.
GeoByte.